Hi, my name is Maria and this is my channel Tea Books Magic, and today I want to do a video talking through the 10 series that I want to prioritize in 2022. I always like to kind of create a series priority list for the year. I'm not always the best at sticking to it. Usually I'll wander kind of midway through the year, so I'm not really going to keep myself necessarily tied to these 10, but these are 10 series that are on my radar and that I'm really hoping to at least give a try in the coming year. I'm also generally a kind of character relationship reader. I'm not someone who really reads for plot specifically, so a lot of times when I go into a book series I actually don't know that much about the plot. I just kind of know bits and pieces instead, kind of like this has really good well-written characters or something like that. So I'm not going to be going too deep into the plots just because, like I said, I don't really know them until I've read the series. I go in a bit more blind on the plot, but I will link everything down below if you want to take a closer look at kind of what this actual book is about, and I'll just talk through my reasons for putting them on the list. These are technically in no particular order, and most of them are adult fantasy. There's a little bit of YA fantasy sprinkled in, and the ones that I do own are, I guess, more of the priority reads out of these 10, just because I will be trying to also bring down my physical TBR in 2022, but other than that, there really is no rhyme or reason. There's no kind of order to them. It's just series I'm interested in. That being said, these first two are technically like absolute priorities. I will be getting to them next year. The first one is the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb, and then in general the whole realm of the Elderlings. The first book of the Farseer trilogy is Assassin's Apprentice. I kind of started Robin Hobb at an unconventional point with the Live Ship Traders trilogy, which I finished this year, and so I'm going to go backwards, read the Farseer trilogy, and then continue on in the realm of the Elderlings, hoping to then get to the remaining series, which are the Tawny Man trilogy, the Rainwild Chronicles, and the Fitz and the Fool trilogy, and hopefully make my way through the whole realm of the Elderlings series. I'm really excited to continue on with Robin Hobb. I've really enjoyed the Live Ship Traders trilogy, but none of them were quite a 5-star read for me. Ship of Magic came very close. It was a 4.5, but I haven't yet hit that like 5-star absolute favorite Robin Hobb book, and I'm really hoping that I will find one in the Fitz books, or just kind of while continuing on. I'm kind of at the point with Hobb where I'm really enjoying her books, but I want to fall in love with her the way other people have. I buddy read Ship of Destiny with Kristen from Kristen is Fully Booked, and we're hoping to continue buddy reading the rest of the realm of the Elderlings, so this is one that will definitely be on my priority and kind of commitment list, and I'm excited to continue on. The next absolute priority series is a reread for me. It's one of my absolute favorite series, and I really wanted to reread it in 2021 and just didn't find the time to do that, and I'm really sad about it, so I'm gonna make sure that that happens early in 2022 because I'm excited to return to this world and these characters. I miss them a lot, and that is the Lumitere Chronicles by Melina Marchetta. The first book is Finnegan of the Rock. Like I said, this is one of my absolute favorite series. I'm hoping to do a criminally underrated deep dive video on this series in the coming year, and I think rereading it would definitely help with that. So kind of sneak peek on what's to come, but this is one that I will absolutely be getting to in the first couple of months. The next series that I want to get to is the Chalion series, I think that's how you say it, by Lois McMaster Bujold, and the first book is The Curse of Chalion. I really don't know much about this, except that this author is said to write characters incredibly well and have very kind of well-formed, well-developed characters, and is really praised for that, and I'm a character reader, so this has been on my list for a while to get to and kind of try out. I know a lot of people sing her praises really highly, so I'm excited to get to it. This is also one that was on my kind of radar, and then recently someone in my neighborhood actually put up a free library. So if you haven't seen one of those, it's kind of one of those boxes where you can put in a book and take a book, and this book, lo and behold, was in there, and I already knew that I wanted to read it and that the library didn't have a copy, so it just felt very meant to be, and definitely means that I'm going to be prioritizing it sooner rather than later since I now have it on my hands. I don't think I've heard very many people talk about this series, so if you have read it, let me know. I would love to hear what you thought of it. Another series that I already own the first of is the Gentleman Bastard series by Scott Lynch. I own the Lies of Locke Lamora, and this has also been on my must get to list for quite a while. I really want to try out this series. I have been meaning to get to the series for so long, and I'm just kind of intimidated by it, but I need to get over that and just read it. I'm told that this has really great bromance and just really great friendship dynamics and really wonderful characters and deep histories of characters, and again, those are all things that I absolutely love, so I have a feeling that this will be a new favorite series for me. I'm just a little intimidated by it because I read kind of the first couple chapters and it seemed like more of a denser, slower read, so I'm probably going to set aside a good amount of time to just take my time with this and give it the attention it deserves, but it will definitely be prioritizing it early next year. And then rounding out the series that I do own at least like the first book of, I'm also going to be prioritizing the Blaze Wrath games by Amparo Ortiz, and this is a YA fantasy duology, I believe. I know the second book is out and Goodreads says that it's 2 out of 2 books, so I believe it's finished. This is one that I won in a Goodreads giveaway and have also just been really excited to get to because it's kind of World Cup meets dragons tournaments, and that just sounds like an amazing premise. This is one that I'm going to be buddy reading with my friend Mary Beth from Mary Beth Dwells in Books, and I'm really excited to get to it. I think we're going to be doing it, we might even actually get to it in December, or if not, January. So this is one that will probably be done fairly soon, and I'm just really excited. I hope that it's as fun as I expect it to be. I've also been reading quite a few dragon books lately and just have been really feeling them. I love dragons in general, but I feel like I'm kind of on a roll with the books I've been picking up that are dragon related, so hopefully this is another one that is a wonderful surprise. Getting into series and books that I do not yet own and will probably be borrowing from the library, I want to read the Stormlight Archive next year, or at least get started on it. I was kind of hoping to originally separate out Robin Hobb, Realm of the Elderlings, and Stormlight Archive into different years. The goal was originally to read Robin Hobb in 2021 and then get to Stormlight Archive in 2022. That didn't really quite pan out the way I wanted it to, but I think I'm fine to do both. I'll probably just stagger them so that I'm not reading these kind of huge tomes right next to each other. I'm kind of hopefully optimistic about the Stormlight Archives. I'm a little bit hesitant. I read the Mistborn trilogy by Brandon Sanderson, and it wasn't my absolute favorite. I loved the first book, and the other two just kind of didn't go the direction I wanted it to. I didn't really love the way the character arcs were developed, so I'm a little worried that Brandon Sanderson is going to be more of a plot and magic system type author rather than a character author, and that maybe he won't be for me for that reason. But I have heard that the Stormlight Archive gives you more time with the characters, so you do feel like you know them on a better basis than you do in the Mistborn trilogy, and also just that Stormlight Archive is kind of like his crowning glory and his best series, so I definitely want to give him another chance. I did also read Mistborn when I was kind of getting into adult fantasy, so maybe that had something to do with how I felt about it. I'm definitely going to give Stormlight Archive a go, and I'm hopeful that I will love it as much as other people do. Next up on my list, and kind of also an intimidating series, I feel like I'm going to be tackling a lot of like big series and intimidating series in 2022, but I feel like I'm ready. It's fine. We're going to go into the year with just full bravado. It's going to be good. But the intimidating series that I'm referencing is A Chorus of Dragons by Jen Leons. And this is one that I originally didn't think that I would be picking up just because I've heard a lot of people say that it is kind of confusing, that the narrative style in which it's told is hard to grasp and kind of convoluted, and that kind of adds a lot of confusion and just overall complexity to the story. It just didn't necessarily sound like something that would be an exciting read. It sounded kind of tough, to be honest, but I have recently been hearing really great reviews, and something about it just feels like it's the right time for me to pick it up and give it a go. It sounds like a very unique series, and I think that's something I'll definitely appreciate, and I want to see kind of where I fall into the controversial discussion about it. I do know a bit more about the plot with this one, but it's, like I said, very complicated and convoluted and hard to explain, and as someone who hasn't read it yet, I'm not going to try to, but I will link Kristen, again from Kristen is Fully Booked. She recently did a Should You Read It video featuring this series and really kind of went into the different aspects of maybe why someone would like it and someone else wouldn't. So great video to watch if you're kind of curious about the series and don't know if you want to pick it up or not. Like I said, I'm going to give it a go. And like with all of these on the list, I'm hoping that I'll really love it. Next up, we have the Faithful and the Fallen series by John Gwynne. This is a 4-book series, a quartet, and then I know there are continuations kind of in the same world. I read Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne just a couple months back, and I did really enjoy it. I especially thought that he did characters very well. I was invested in the characters very early on in the book, so I'm excited to kind of see more of his writing. I had a little bit of a struggle with how descriptive he was and how much we got of the like description in the battle scenes and the like different armor they wore and things like that. So I do think this is one where I maybe won't be able to binge the books back to back because I think I'll probably get a little bit burnt out on his writing and need a little bit of a break, but it's one that I think overall I think I'll really enjoy. And I've also heard that it has a lot to do with kind of themes of justice, good and right, and prophecies and things like that. And those are all themes that I really enjoy. Also on my list is The Drowning Empire by Andrea Stewart, and the first book is The Bone Shard Daughter, and the second book, The Bone Shard Emperor, just came out, I believe, last month in November, so one that just kind of got continued just recently. I kind of realized this year that I don't love picking up a series when there's only one book out, because a lot of times I have to then reread it when the next one comes out. My memory isn't always the clearest, and then I also just feel like it takes me a couple books to figure out if I like it or not, so I've been kind of burned by a few series continuations that way. I kind of prefer to binge read a series as much as possible, so I've been trying to wait until at least 2 books in a series are out before I kind of get started on it. That way I'm just then waiting for the conclusion and it's fresher in my mind and I just have more time with the characters in general. This is one that I've kind of been really interested in, but was waiting for that sequel to come out. So now that it's out, it's kind of one that I will be getting to sooner. I'm not really sure what expectations to go into this book with, because I've heard the things I know about it are that it is unique as far as the magic system goes, that there are slight horror elements, I believe, to it. Just again, magic systems kind of aren't the biggest selling point for something for me. I am much more interested when people comment on the characters, and I feel like I haven't heard that many people talk about the characters in this one really, other than the fact that there's kind of an animal companion that one of the characters has. Something about this series just kind of interests me. I'm not sure if it's the covers. I do think they're really beautiful. So I do feel like I'm going in a bit more blind into this one than some of the other series, and it could go either way. I mean, I guess any series could go either way technically though, but something about it just interests me, so it's on the list. And the 10th series that I want to prioritize in 2022 is the Seven Waters series by Juliet Marillier, and the first book of this series is Daughter of the Forest. From what I understand, these aren't necessarily like direct continuations of the sequels, so I believe, for example, that the second book follows the children of the first book's main character. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think they're kind of generational or in the same world sort of companion books. I definitely want to at least get to Daughter of the Forest because I've heard amazing things about it, and I probably, if I like it, I'll continue on and then read the kind of companion slash sequel books. I'm really intrigued by this one. I was originally kind of intimidated by Juliet Marillier because it sounded like she maybe had more classic type writing, if that makes any sense. But now I'm also hearing that it's very fairy tale-esque, that it's very atmospheric, and that the emotions the characters go through are very vivid and you kind of experience the emotions with them, which is one of my favorite things. I love when a book series is very emotional and you're kind of there with the characters. I have also heard that it's heavy and heartbreaking, so that's something that I guess I am in for. But I've heard really amazing things about the main character of the first one, and I'm really excited to try this author in general. So this is one that I'll be prioritizing, and I think it's one that I'll hopefully be getting to in the very beginning of the year. So those are the 10 series that I want to prioritize in 2022 and kind of what little I know about them. I'm still kind of trying to figure out my reading taste a bit and pick up good books. I feel like I didn't have the best track record with that this year, but I do feel like I was getting better with it with adult fantasy specifically. So hopefully at least most of the ones that I picked out will end up being books that I really enjoy. I also have 2 series that I wanted to really quickly mention as kind of honorable mentions. They're technically not on my list of 10 just because I think there's a good chance I'll pick up the first book and DNF, but they are ones that I am going to definitely try in 2022 because I want to, again, kind of just determine my reading taste, figure out how I feel about certain controversial books. So the first one is the Poppy War trilogy by R.F. Kuang. This is one that I think may not be for me, just from what I've been hearing of kind of the darkness of it, the main character related stuff, and the kind of direction the series goes in. But I was chatting with Cassidy from Covers with Cassidy recently, and she kind of convinced me to give it a go despite my hesitance, so I'm definitely going to give it a try. And the other kind of honorable mention series that I'm wary about is the First Law trilogy by Joe Abercrombie, and it's kind of for the same reasons as the Poppy War trilogy. I just have heard a lot about kind of the morally great characters in it, and that it's very dark, that the people and the characters aren't necessarily very likable, but also that people are very attached and invested in them. Interesting kind of dynamic there. I did a video talking about kind of my experience with morally gray characters and how that's often not a buzzword for me, but I have found series that have done them in a way that I've really enjoyed. So I'm not sure how I'll feel about the morally gray characters in both of these series, but I almost want to read them or try reading them as kind of like an experiment to figure out how I feel about it, if that makes sense. Especially because I've heard that Joe Abercrombie is a very character-based writer and has a lot less plot and much more character time. So I think that his could be a love-hate thing for me. I could either love it and surprise myself, or I could hate it like I think I might, just because the characters are who they are. I guess 2022 will be the year to kind of find that out and hone in on my reading tastes a little bit more, or discover some surprises about my reading taste, I guess. It's so funny, every time I set out to film a video, I'm like, this will be short and snappy, and then I just get talking. So I'm not sure how long this video will be. I tried to keep it short and just go through the books really quickly. I'm also excited that a lot of these series are completed or have a lot of books in the series because, again, I want to kind of get back into almost my deep diving into a series or binging it. I think that that's the way that I experience a world and characters the best. So I'm excited to kind of tailor my reading in that direction. If you've started making plans of series or books that you want to get to in 2022, I'd love to hear what some of those are. And if any of these are on your list or ones that you've read and absolutely loved or didn't love for some reason, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that as well. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day, and I hope that 2022 is an amazing reading year for all of us.